Good morning, brave adventurers, and welcome back to the quest. I am AmalgamAsh, and this is one of the quests submitted to the 2023 HeroQuest Quest Jam. This is one of the quests submitted to the 2023. This is one of the quests submitted to the 2023 HeroQuest Quest Jam. Be advised that there will be spoilers for the quest in this video. And now onward, brave heroes. The Four Children of Herok by Patrick Powers. Adventurers, it is with a heavy heart that I share news of the death of Herok, ruler of the Kingdom of Timur. He was a good and wise ruler. His passing is cause for concern, as his four children all believe that they are most fit to rule in his stead. And with each gathering cadres of soldiers to back them, the Kingdom of Timur may soon be torn asunder. Should that happen, that region would become unstable. Worse, I believe that one or more of the siblings may have been swayed by the machinations of Zargon's ally in Timur, the Archwizard Morcar. I have brought the four children of Herok here, and laid them under a spell that will allow us to learn which should succeed their father. Outside this chamber, there are 4 doorways, magically created portals into the heirs' minds. Explore them, and then return to me, so we may decide on the best course of action. First of all, I just want to say that this quest, for me, gets points for including Mentor as a character that is on the board. The roleplay element is highly appreciated here. And the 4 mercenaries that you are instructed to use for the Children of Herok are also just a great, great touch. So understanding how this is going to play out, we're going to have our heroes explore the depths of this sort of, again, separated into 4 quadrants dungeon. Each quadrant representing the mind of a different possible heir. I guess they're not going to go on, like, age or something. Like, usually that's how it's done, but the quest text tells us who the youngest and second children are in the quadrant of heirs. But it doesn't say which one the oldest is. It's either going to be the daughter or the one who is skillful with an axe, that they also call a guitarist. Anyway, this adventure will have your heroes going through each of the quadrants to try to discover what's going on in the mind of each heir, which I thought was an amazing concept. Along the way, you'll find all kinds of secrets. It's no secret that a knight, a rogue, a warlock, and a druid can absolutely make mincemeat out of greenskins and undead at this point, though. This quest features a rotating room that will turn the number of times that there are as many heroes in it. That was English, but you know what? We'll keep that. We'll keep that exactly as it was. Recommendations on how to have properly said that are welcome down below in the comments. I did find one error. There's no way to get into these 2 rooms, which are on the map. Oh well. When this quest was originally submitted to the jam, it was too long and had to be revised, and now I can see why the longer version would have actually provided a lot of context, and it would have probably given you some alternative endings to who you picked. Choose wisely, as there can only be one wrong answer, I think. I went through all of the routes, and to be honest, it only seemed like one of them would have been a bad ending. It is a real shame that the quest notes could not have fit in just the restrictions for the jam, the result of choosing any one particular heir. I think that would have been a nice touch, but as it is, this translated version of the quest is rather unfinished. You, as Zargon, or as Mentor in this case, will have to determine the best course of action when it comes to the role-play ending of this quest. However, that does not at all deter me from thinking this quest is one of the finest submitted to the jam. Excellent job, Patrick. Thank you for submitting this awesome quest. 4 Elements by F. Javier. It is said that in ancient times there were 4 powerful artifacts related to alchemy. These relics are guarded by Lurk, a dread sorcerer who longs to usurp the throne of the Warlock Lord. It is imperative to stop this sorcerer before he can unleash the power contained within such artifacts. He will reward you for such an arduous task with 200 gold coins each for those who manage to bring back the 4 relics. I assume by the last sentence of that quest lore that it's the Warlock Lord that's going to be rewarding us, not Lurk. But in any case, let's start this quest. We've started off in this room. There's just a tomb here. There are no doors. However, there are 3 pits, and there is a trapdoor. Now, these follow the regular expansion rules. Once we go into them, they will act as sort of doors to another part of the board. In this case, we're going to take the northern trapdoor. and that's going to lead us into the upper left quadrant of the board. This is another one of those quests where the board is separated into 4 levels basically, with a 5th centerpiece, which may or may not act as the beginning as well as the end of your quest. And when I say end, I don't mean a peaceful escape. As ever, deciding to split the party up here could prove fatal. The very first room that I open up has not 1, not 2, but 3 ice gremlins, ready to steal all manner of your non-equipped items and make off into the night. And if you manage to take them down quickly, then what's on the other side of this door isn't going to be any friendlier. Finally, someone is using my polar warbears. I'm so happy to finally encounter them in one of these quests. The very next room has 4 skeletons and a mummy. This is an evil dungeon. This is a tough difficulty level. Maybe now that we have that out of the way, the next room will be a break and we can... 3 abominations? Come on! The frozen river emanates from a bank on the alchemy vessel. By destroying the vessel, the river dries up. And finally, the Yeti gets some love. The first hero to search for treasure in this room after the Yeti is defeated will receive the Ring of Water. That's just one of the 4 quadrants. I can tell you that it is without a doubt the hardest in terms of difficulty, unless RNG is just being really mean to you today and the goblins take out your barbarian. Getting the 4 rings and returning to the center room is your goal. I have to say, once your players have locked into making sure they save the frozen rooms for last, or perhaps knocking them out first to lower the overall difficulty of the quest, this is a pretty solid challenge. But I would say this is definitely more for veterans of the game than newcomers. All in all, very solid. Thank you, Javier, for this awesome quest. The Gargoyle's Labyrinth by Francatronx. On your way through the winding passages of the labyrinth, suddenly the walls move and the rooms seem to rearrange themselves by unseen mechanisms. Now you are trapped and must find your way out, but beware the monstrous gargoyle Sindor, for they are invincible. If they should find you, flee! And Sindor is right outside the room that you start in. This quest is pretty cool, actually. You've got a monstrous gargoyle who is invincible, who will be stalking you through the entirety of this quest. Your only goal is to survive and escape. And I actually love how the quest is laid out. There are a lot of doorways, there's a lot of furniture in the rooms, there's just a lot of corridors that are created by this method of room building. It doesn't take up a whole lot of the board, it's only about half, such that when I saw the quest map, I thought, how are you going to call this a labyrinth? But it does make sense in practice. It does actually really work. And who knows, if your heroes are intrepid enough, they may actually find different ways through the labyrinth that are more efficient than what I'm showing here. Anyway, your goal is to get to the end door. So let's do that. Hurry up, heroes! We don't have much time. I'm running as fast as my little legs can carry me. I'll hold him off, if only to act as a meat shield. Sindor. I love the very first quest note. Sindor has the stats of a normal gargoyle, but is slow. Roll a 6-sided die for their movement. Sindor cannot take any damage and must instead be evaded and blocked, but is still affected by spells such as Tempest and Sleep that would remove their ability to take a turn. But don't just give this info away. Let the heroes discover it themselves and watch their eyes light up when they realize they can do something against Sindor. This Zargon, or this Morcar actually, knows what's up. They know what it's all about, and I respect that. The wandering monster in this quest is Sindor, so if your heroes are trying to look for treasure, they're just going to cause the gargoyle to come up more frequently or closer to your point of position. The various mobs that are in each room should not give your heroes any trouble, but they do serve the purpose of slowing them down. Sindor is slow, but you can always roll lower than he does, and that makes for a very tense chase. Demonic wings! Yeah, I'm going to need to use that like a few hundred times. If your party of adventurers is keen on working together, they may need to take turns having somebody stay behind and act as a doorway blockade, or somebody who can just take hits while the other heroes manage to get through the labyrinth. Look at these goblins hiding behind this wall. Who do they think they are? Do they get put on the board as soon as the heroes see them, or as soon as the door gets open? That's up to Morcar. But I would love to put them on the board as soon as the heroes round this corner here. I think it would be hilarious. Just suddenly, 2 goblins. Hooah! Love this room. There's just like an abomination library. Just a horrifying place to be. I hate it. 2 orcs is all that stands in your way between victory and gargoyle death. Two orcs was all that stood in our way. Will our heroes make it to the door in time, or will Sindor enjoy a nice halfling sandwich? Hey! For an added bit of tenseness right here, I would say that the first hero who tries the door finds that it's locked. Thank you very much, Frankatrunks, for an awesome quest. The Goblin Sorcerer by Travis Matheson. Reports of wandering bands of orcs and dread warriors has led you to a fortress deep in the forest. Rumor has it that a powerful sorcerer is leading the forces of dread from this fortress. Find and kill the sorcerer to escape this bastion of evil. This quest was designed for experienced heroes by the quest creator. Initially, they say, it was designed to replace Quest 10, so it would be expected that the heroes would have equipment and potions before starting the quest. And it has been tested with a standard barbarian, dwarf, elf, wizard party. So I take that to mean Quest 10 of the base game campaign. I didn't notice until after I had put this quest together for the video that there has been some image manipulation on the quest itself, specifically the traps, so I think that that's going to disqualify it, but I'm going to go ahead and do the video for it anyway. What we have is a pretty standard fair quest. The intro is very short, and it wastes no time getting you into the action. You guys just literally standing here, looking at the door waiting for it to open, cowering in the corner in case it's the barbarian that comes through? Well, I have news for you. 'Twas indeed the barb, and you are not safe. There are a lot of quest notes in this one, and I'd actually like to explore them. You found a secret door. Rooms teeming with undead excite me. I don't know what it is. I really like a room that's just full of skeletons. It's awesome. It doesn't have the same feeling when it's orcs or any other monster, just skeletons. Bone smash! That's not the name of an attack, barbarian! This quest makes use of the, after a certain point has been crossed, rocks will fall, barring your re-entry. And I've always liked this particular mechanic. I enjoy the point of no return in HeroQuest. I actually kind of like that in TTRPGs in general and dungeon crawlers, as long as it's done well. What do I mean, done well? Well, I just mean fairly. You know, don't trap the heroes into a impossible to complete leg of the quest. After spilling the dried up guts of the undead in this room, it's time to keep exploring. If you play this quest, please make it to this room and search the weapons rack. You'll be so happy you did. Or rather, your dwarf will be very happy you did, if you know what I mean. Oh, I didn't say it was going to be easy to get there. No. Not only do you have the two dread warriors to contend with, you also have Goblina, the Goblin Sorcerer. Goblina has 3 attack, 4 defend, and 4 body points. Goblina can also cast the following dread spells: Summon Orcs, Fear, Lightning Bolt, Escape, and Command. Can you make it to the final room of this epic dungeon? Let me know how you did when you play the Goblin Sorcerer. Thank you, Travis, for this awesome quest. The Grimorum Arcanorum by Evior. My dear friends, the lore tome has revealed to me that Zargon's minions are trying to locate an ancient book of magic, the Grimorum Arcanorum. It seems the grimoire has been in possession of Einar for centuries, a sorcerer who inhabits an isolated dungeon on the cliffs of the western shores. It is essential that we get hold of this artifact before it falls in the hands of our enemy and can be used against us. This quest has a lot of finer points that I'll go over. For one, there are a lot of green traps indicated on the map. These traps cannot be found when traps are searched for, and instead spring according to the quest notes. There are lots of goblins. So many goblins. Thank you for all the goblins. Goblins rule. There are doors in the corridors, and the contents of the corridors are not revealed until these doors are open, which makes, honestly, for some very interesting scenarios that can happen. I did tell you that there would be spoilers in these videos, right? Well, when you open this door, the contents of this room are not all laid out at once. Instead, only what the hero can see is laid out, according to line of sight rules. But I really like the layout of this room. I love when the center room of the board can be used in creative ways, like this, and isn't just a free-for-all, monster-spawning pit of despair, or a throne room for the big bad. The quest notes say for this room that each orc has a healing potion that can heal up to 4 body points. It doesn't specify that you get those healing potions when you slay the orcs. I think it would be really funny if actually the orcs could use the healing potions and heal themselves. But they don't have 4 body points, so I suppose you get the potions when you kill them. This room is really cool. The bottomless chasm room tile actually does not get placed when the heroes enter the room. When the hero searches for treasure opening the chest, then the floor collapses, forming a crack across the room. Place the bottomless chasm room tile then. Any hero located in a square in the crevasse suffers 2 body points of damage and ends his turn. Heroes can get out of the abyss on their next turn, as they would from a pit trap. Very, very smart. I really like that. If you're crafty, you'll run into these guys. They have crossbows. That is all. And then finally, this. This is a gargoyle. And since that's a dead end, and you don't discover that until you have journeyed up these flights of stairs, it's a very trollishly placed gargoyle. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. I love the layout of the rooms. They are so nice. I wonder what happens when you search this room for secret doors. You'll have to find out by attempting to retrieve the Grimorum Arcanorum. Thank you, Evior, for this awesome quest. The Haunted Hideout of Dread by Bohemius. Hello, mighty heroes. I require you to solve a problem of the utmost importance. There's an old keep considered abandoned and haunted, not far from the kingdom. There, General Xerox of the Dread Legion is secretly gathering forces to execute Zargon's evil plans. Bring his cursed spellbook to the king's personal wizard so it can be properly disposed of. You will be rewarded 1,000 gold. Tread carefully, my friends. This is not an easy task. Xerox's Legion is well known for his skills in dread magic. Before I go any further, I have to say that this quest used just one too many of these dread sorcerers in its quest map. And for that reason, it has to be officially disqualified. You've got to specify a proxy if you're going to run out of monsters. That's just how the jam rules work. But this quest has a lot of really cool elements, and so I still wanted to give it a video. It's actually pretty ironic. The last quests that I am finally getting around to making videos for in the jam have some of the best content that I've encountered, but it really feels like I've been on a rampage with how many I've had to disqualify here in the last few days. Anyway, there is a lot to this quest, as there are lots of things to a lot of the last quests that I'm getting into. You start off in this room, and right away there is an imp behind the torture rack. He's stuck. He's trapped, whining and complaining about his bad luck. The heroes can't attack him from this room, and he's not going to impede any searches, but he'll always mock anyone doing any action at all. If the heroes search for a secret door and they make the imp aware of it, well, that was very kind of you. I'm sure that he's going to reward you in some way, and you can feel fulfilled knowing that you helped somebody who was in need, because you are indeed true heroes. Demon form! All skulls! I take that back. If you do find the imp and take him out, you'll get a few potions. Alright, so a lot of this quest is actually locked behind secret doors, which is something that I've been keeping under wraps in these videos. If there's any content behind a secret door, I generally try not to show it. Can you guess where the secret doors are? But I really like this progression of rooms. You have an orc commandeering a platoon of goblins. And then, as if to increase the difficulty, you have an abomination commandeering a tribe of orcs. And then the next room, you just have 4 abominations. Then the room after that, you've got a chaos warrior and a gargoyle. This is tough. This is a disaster. Farewell, heroes. Rip. F in chat. No, the reason I show this quadrant is because there could be a secret door somewhere around here, and you're going to need to find them. They're kind of everywhere. Alright, so the ghost enemies and the poltergeist enemies in this quest are really cool. They're well defined. They make sense. The ghost has actually really cool stats. Their attack dice are lowered by the mind points of the target, and their defense dice are lowered by the mind points of the attacker. So that is really interesting. That means that its stats are going to be variable depending on which hero is fighting it or which hero is its target. So really, really cool there. I like that a lot. But there are 3 of them, and they're the wandering monster, and I only have 2 dread sorcerers, and if I had just gotten a proxy instruction in the quest notes, Another thing to note is you will at some point come across pits. The pits don't have any instructions on where they go, which other pit they lead to, and there are actually 6 of them on the map, so that's kind of important, but you can at least sort of infer where they're supposed to lead and go from there. Anyway, sorry Bohemius for the disqualification, but thank you very much for the submission of this awesome quest. It is still something that I recommend everybody go and find on the jam page and play. The Horn of Durgin by Liminal Sub. Heroes, you recall I have told you of Durgin, the dwarven hero who accompanied Rogar in the last great battle against Zargon. Heretofore we have not known of his final resting place. but I have recently heard whispers of a mountain tomb in the World's End Mountains. I also know Zargon has dispatched a band of his top dread heroes there to recover Durgin's Horn, a great artifact that has the power to summon armies from across the realm. It would be a great boon for the Emperor, but a great threat if Zargon recovers it. You must beat these dread heroes to the artifact. There is a lot going on in this quest, a lot of good things, and a lot that I don't really want to spoil in this video, despite this being kind of an overview. So let's get introduced to the Horn of Durgin. First of all, the quest notes take the time to explain that we start here at the Iron Door. This is where the quest ends as well. Thank you so much for letting me know where to put the heroes when the quest begins. This is so nice, and not enough people do it. I know, just start at the stairway. Put it in the quest notes anyway. It's just good manners. The quest notes say that the dread heroes that appear in this quest can be represented by unused hero figures or mercenaries. The 4 dread heroes are the standard wizard, warlock, rogue, and guardian knight, and have the same base stats, equipment, and abilities as those heroes, plus 2 additional defense dice from armor. Zargon chooses the dread wizard spells. So right off the bat, we have a really cool feature. We get to fight against evil heroes. I really like that trope. This quest makes use of a portcullis, which does not open unless you have a key, which is another trope that I really like in HeroQuest that is not used often enough. I love this quest note. At Zargon's discretion, even between hero turns, the dread rogue appears from the shadows and shuts and locks the door. "Farewell, heroes," she sneers, and casts an escape spell, to be later placed at marker Z, which we might look at that later. A poison gas pours from the fireplace that will cause 1 BP damage on every Zargon turn. To get out, one hero must force the door by rolling a 6, with 1 red dice for each current BP. The door opposite is false. Just a really great tense scenario to write into the quest, and completely avoidable if you know to avoid it. And this scene is really cool as well. When you first open this door, you discover all of these skeletons in the room are attacking the Dread Warlock. So as soon as you open the door, the Dread Warlock casts an escape spell, and you're left to fend for yourself fighting all of these skeletons, but it was still a really cool scene to walk into. The quest note for this room says that the bookshelves here are enchanted and will cast books at anything in the room. Heroes and monsters will be attacked with 2 attack dice, defensible, upon entering, and once on Zargon's turn if they remain in the room. Lovely, awesome, love that. I didn't want to spoil this one, but I really want to talk about it more than I don't want to spoil it. The 2 chests and the weapons rack are all mimic monsters. They can't be found by searching for traps, and when treasure is searched, they get a surprise attack round. It's just great. There are a ton of fun features in this quest, and it just keeps going. Lots of hidden rooms, lots of areas that you have to search in order to progress the quest. You even get to find a door at the edge of the board that talks about it just being broken. It's where the Dread Heroes entered. Evidently, when you find it, that's the quest note. That's what you discover. And there's nothing mechanical around that. It's just a really fun flavor bit. I just really enjoyed that. So I have to thank you, Liminal Sub, for this amazing quest. Very imaginative, definitely getting high marks from me. The Lost Ruins of the Crypt Wizard by Jason Renslow. Deep in the woods of Neverglade sits the ruins of a forgotten castle. The Crypt Wizard, Locusium, seeks to raise up the legendary Troll Lord from its centuries-long rest. To ensure nothing would disturb the ritual, the Crypt Wizard has filled the arena with foul undead. To ensure nothing would disturb the ritual, the Crypt Wizard has filled the area with foul undead. The wizard must be stopped before the Troll Lord can rise from the grave. Additionally, legends tell that there is treasure left behind in the ruins. It's all fun and games until you believe the opening text and search a room for treasure and you get a mummy per the quest notes instead of treasure. Nah, don't be too quick to judge. I'll take you home with me and sell you on the black market. I really like a quest that knows what it is, and this quest knows exactly what it is. It's an undead slaughter fest. A well-equipped party would tear right through this. This is just perfect for a beginning party, though. It's really a good old-fashioned kind of HeroQuest romp. Run through the dungeon, tear down the enemy skirmishes, search all of the rooms for traps and/or treasure, defeat the boss. Nothing wrong with this one. Pretty old-fashioned, if I do say so myself, and if it just had a few more traps and maybe one more Chaos Warrior, I could actually see this being in Return of the Witch Lord. Very good job, Jason, and thank you for submitting this awesome quest. So it turns out selling mummies on the black market is not profitable, but what say we try this? You wanna come home with me? Yeah.
I know, what about a joke? What's a skeleton's favorite instrument? The trombone! My beard! And that is why I never joke about skeletons.
The Midsummer Fair by Alan Stark. Ah, midsummer. A time of celebration, of relaxation, of peace, and of relaxation. I already said that. You have done well, heroes, and deserve a well-unearned break. Unearned? Enjoy yourselves at the Midsummer Fair. Bring me back a prize. You traveled together 4 leagues of quiet country lanes before you arrived finally to find the fairground destroyed. You heard a scuttling sound coming from a torn tent and entered to find a strong smell of fresh blood. Whatever has done this has done it recently. The wizard shouts in alarm as the floor gives way. You come around in a poorly lit room. It was a trap. 2 things about this quest. 1, I set it up on my classic HeroQuest board, even though this was explicitly done in the newer HeroQuest style on HQuest Builder. Sorry about that. I don't think it would have mattered much, but the sight of 3 abominations rather than 3 Famir next to this tomb would have been more striking, I think. 2, I did not lay out the contents of the entire quest. There is a lot of secretive stuff here, lots of surprises, and I have to say, for as short as this quest looks, every single room is jam-packed with stuff to do, and or things to kill. But to begin with, the party awakes in a cage. It is locked, and the cage is made out of strong metal. Any character can try to force the lock, roll 2 combat dice, 1 for the wizard, sorry wizard. Skulls will break the lock, but only once 3 skulls have been rolled in total. I suppose that gives the team a sense of camaraderie, as they perhaps take bets on who can break the lock first. Despite the fair being overrun by the forces of dread, it is still very much a fair, and there are still very much horrible fair-like things going on. The quest notes tell us that the chest has a notice attached to it. 2 coupons, a turn on the Impaler ride. It contains 75 gold. There are the remains of a previous customer on the rack. I'm not going to spoil too much, but once you step into this room, quest note D says you can hear faintly an annoying circus song close by. And I won't show you who you encounter in this room, but I will say, is it me? Or is there a special place in the underworld for people who call the quest the Midsummer Fair and then put very non-summer-like enemies before you find the exit? Well done, Alan Stark, and thank you for submitting this awesome quest.